Welcome to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast, where the legal industry gets real. I'm your host, Etta Rosa, legal consultant, speaker, and founder of Etta Rosa LLC and the Limitless Paralegal Academy. This isn't your stuffy legal studies school lecture. We're talking mindset, money, modern workflows, and how to build a career and a life you don't need a vacation from. Let's cut the fluff, raise the bar, and change the game one conversation at a time. If you like what you hear, feel free to share and send us your feedback. Now let's talk paralegal. In this episode, we're stepping outside the lines with none other than Chere Estrin, CEO of Estrin Legal Staffing, author of 12 books, including Power Plays for Legal Professionals, Strategies to Move Your Career Forward, and the force behind the award-winning blog, The Estrin Report. With a new ABA book on the horizon in 2026 and a career that's included serving as a paralegal manager at an AmLaw firm, Chere knows what it takes to lead, to innovate, and to keep pushing the profession forward. Listen in for more. Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. I'm your host, Etta, and I'm here with Chere. We were just talking about how to properly pronounce her name because I'm a big stickler about that when people mispronounce my name. And I always remind people it's the same as Etta James.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk about Chere and her journey. If you don't know her, I don't know how you don't know her. She's written so many books. She is a huge influence and advocate, both in the paralegal worlds, but in the legal industry in general. And I just can't wait for you guys to see what's coming up, what has been done, and kind of what Chere's all about, because that's what we do here. We like to highlight, legal professionals in the legal industry. We like to have true conversations, and we like to continue those conversations on and off the platform. So, Chere, without further ado, now that I boosted your ego just a little more,
Oh,
can you tell?
can't get out the room. I can't get out the door. My head's so big. But
Oh
thank
my
you for that.
goodness.
Yeah.
Feel free to speak freely here. This is a true conversation starter with anybody. Our podcast is mostly just conversations like this today. So we're going to talk about you and who you are and just start introducing yourself with the audience. Let them know what you're about, what got you into writing all these books, because I'm amazed when you told me how many books you wrote and during our
Yeah.
pre-call. I didn't know that it was that many. So I'm pretty, it's impressive. So, and me as a fellow author, nothing compared to you, but it's you just pop them out like popcorn. Like, I don't understand this. I'm still like, oh my God, it took me 3 years to write one book and it's taking her months. I was like, how is this happening? I'm doing something wrong.
My first one was not in months. My first one took me a year. That absolutely, and I struggled and struggled with that. That was years ago with the Paralegal Career Guide. That's how I started.
Yes.
A
Oh
publisher
wow, I
called
didn't
me
know
one
that.
day. I was writing for a magazine called Legal Assistant Today, which was paralegal magazine. And he called me up and he said, "Why don't you write a book?" And I said, "What would I write about?" And he said, "The paralegal career." And I said, "All right." So I wrote my first book. It was the Paralegal Career Guide. And it was a hit. It was I didn't expect that, but it did take me a year. I struggled with it. And when I look back at the way the first one was written, I think, oh my God, that's so awful. I said, what? But I was an amateur, and I totally enjoyed it. And the thing about writing is that it gives me my job satisfaction. I mean, I get it in other ways, but this is my special treat. And I always say I could be writing. I think I'm writing for 10 minutes, and 2 hours have gone by. I just totally lose it. So I love it. And that brought on other books. I've written 12 books. I've got three more coming out just this year alone. And then I have another one coming out next year from the ABA. It's on small and mid-sized law firm management and how to manage everybody. I don't know. Maybe I'll make it up. I don't know. Why not? Why?
I love it. I love it.
But
Oh my goodness.
I don't
But
like.
that's really needed though, Sherry. We need that one. So you need to spit it out, and I'm gonna have to start using it in our consulting firm because a lot of law firms struggle with managing their firms. And
Yes.
us as consultants, we can only do so much, right? Like we can come in, we can provide the operations, we can provide the processes, and we can train the staff and, all the implementation and everything that comes at the back end of all this. But really, really, really the day in and the day outs of that. And I don't know if I'm giving you some content or something to think about, but those are the in between moments that are very needed, right? And a book can come in handy when it comes to those moments when they're trying to really manage and figure out how do I get this diverse team, hopefully, it's a diverse team. How do I get them to work together and actually do what I want them to do and be happy about it? Like, I think that's like the struggle of any employee, right?
Well,
Employer, you
but
know?
it comes to see here's what I learned the hard way because my mother used to say, Sherry, you don't learn anything unless you learn it the hard way. Okay, I'll give her that much. But you have to first know your own career. That's what I found. So if you're not secure and you're not knowledgeable with your own career, you can't lead anybody else. You
I
cannot.
love that.
I believe in leading from experience at this point in my career. Um, it's funny, it's like being a teenager. You think you know it all, right? You just think you know it all, and you don't.
Of
You
course.
don't. But that's why I wrote the career books because people come to me every day. I do legal staffing nationwide, and okay, I did one international placement, so I can call myself international.
That's
But
right.
yeah, I can call myself international. But what I'm finding is if I ask them, what is your ideal job? They'll tell me everything they don't want, right?
Mm,
And I can't find many people who give me past the routine and repetition. I want teamwork, I want growth, I want challenge. But what do you really want? Well, they don't know. They don't know.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
found that by writing, to the emotions, right? It's not
Mm,
just this is how you do it. You do A, you do B, you do C. No, you have to identify with the reader and understand the pain point and understand the excitement and the imagination about your career, not what you don't want. We all know what we don't want, right? I don't want to run track for an hour and try and run a mile. That's not for me. Okay. Real
yeah,
estate.
yeah.
I buy high, I sell low. I don't get it. But careers I get. This I get. So I found that through writing, I get these wonderful letters, and I love the letters from the newbies, right? Because they're fresh,
Oh,
they're shaded, and and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and yeah, they are. Yeah, they
yeah.
are. And then when I get a letter from somebody who says, I did just what you told me to do and it worked. And I think, yes, thank you.
Perfect. That's
Thank you.
awesome. That's
Thank
so
you. Thank
rewarding.
you. Of course, I don't get the letters that say, Sherry, it didn't work. No, I don't, I don't. No, nobody is writing me to tell me that. But writing is, it's a reward for me. It's just a reward.
I love that. And I love it, for those of you that don't know, she kind of alluded to it now that this is not what she does for like a living, right? She
No,
does legal staff placement. So it's more of for her it is enjoyable. It's a hobby and it's I guess her way of giving back is what I'm hearing, right? Because
not a hobby.
we
Not a
yeah,
hobby. No, 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 no. Let me correct you. Not that I want to correct you. It is not a hobby. It's very much a part of my career.
I love it.
And it's nothing to me is really a hobby. I don't know. I take things way too seriously, but writing is not a hobby. It's part of who I am, and it's
I
part of who
love that.
I identify with. That's a part of me that it's a lot of give and take, a lot of give and take, and a lot of learning. No, I still
Yeah. I mean,
every time I do think I know it all, I find out how much I don't know. But no, I've had a very interesting career. I started out I had a theater company. I was on the road for 6 years and I was doing Broadway musical reviews. And oh my God, I was going to be the next, Broadway star. Well, that didn't happen. You have to sing on cue. Okay. On key rather. I found that out in a hurry, but I did direct them and produce them. So I found kind of an entrepreneurial side of me, and I went to get my first job. I wanted to get off the road, and I opened up the paper. I was in Seattle, and I saw, oh, paralegal. Okay, I can do that. And I went on the interview, and the administrator just happened to have seen one of my shows, and that's how I got my first paralegal job. I knew
What?
nothing. Yeah, and I went out and I bought a book called The Legal Secretary's Handbook, and I read 364 pages, and then I knew everything. And I know everything.
Sure.
Yeah, I knew everything. Ask me anything. But then I became a paralegal. I became a paralegal manager in a very prestigious entertainment firm, and from there I went on to an AmLaw firm to be their paralegal manager. And from there I thought, I can't do this anymore. I'm really an entrepreneur. I really am. And that's part of when I talk about in my writing about finding yourself, about knowing who you are. And as much as I love the law firm, don't get me wrong, oops, well, as much as I love the law firm, I love this better. No, and that's what you have to come to terms with is, do I stay in something that's just okay, or do I go to ride that comet? And I went to ride the comet, and I never looked back. So I opened up my first staffing company. In 2.5 years, I was doing millions of dollars, literally millions of dollars in revenue. I sold it to a $5 billion company and then ran their legal staffing division for quite some time. Went right back to crying in the shower every morning because this is exactly what I didn't want. I didn't want to
Right.
be an employee. So I gave that up and then opened up the paralegal super conferences. And my husband and I went on the road for several years until the recession, right? And we went belly up. I mean, belly up, because who was paying for seminars anymore? And then I opened up my own staffing agency again, and the rest is history. And in the meantime, I've been very blessed by getting many, many awards. One of the top 50 women leaders in Los Angeles. I mean, who knew, right? Who knew?
Yes, we did.
Who knew? Who knew? And somehow people find me and they give me these wonderful awards that I don't think I deserve. I think somebody else really did a lot better job, but it's very nice acknowledgement. So for somebody who came up through the ranks, I think I was making like what, $2,000 a month, $1,500 a month when I started. And then all of a sudden, it's a nice ride. It's a nice ride. So the paralegal career has been very, very, very good to me. Very, very good. Which in my writing, I try to impart, you can do anything you want to do with this career. Anything. Look at
That's
you.
true.
Look at you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, and I'm very familiar with that story because, I was a paralegal for 20 plus years. I never saw myself being a full-time employee. I was frustrated. I found a lot of bottlenecks and inconsistencies. I saw a lot of my colleagues struggle through burnout, anxiety, trying to balance their personal life with the demands of the legal industry. I saw a lot of secondary trauma happening where they would see some cases, and those cases they carried on forever, which what inspired me to write this book that I'm about to finish. And all of that collectively throughout the years, I think subconsciously my brain was just collecting that information
Mhm.
because I'm very aware. I consider myself a very aware person. And so one day I just said, yeah, not for me. Kind of like what you said. I'm like,
Right.
this is not for me anymore. I don't feel like this is not the greatest thing in the world. And although, like you said, the paralegal career gave me bountiful information and
Yes.
so many skills that I can transfer in through my art and my creativity and in my business. And also in my family, right? Because it teaches you about patience. It teaches you about how to communicate with
Mhm.
multiple, diverse people. It teaches you about people. It teaches you about people within your community, the people that you live around and their struggles and what they're going through in their worst times. Because honestly, as legal professionals, we kind of see them at their worst, right? We're not going to see them happy-go-lucky,
Right.
regardless of where you're at, what practice you're practicing or you're assisting in. And so, seeing these people in their most vulnerable state, in their most difficult moments, in that moment, right? And seeing their whole worlds basically turn upside down at times, for me was a hard lesson, right? Like you were saying, we learn very hard and it was so tough for me because I was super young. I was in my early 20s. I was trying to establish myself and make something out of myself while balancing education and trying to create a family and, all the things that come with just life. And then I saw myself and I'm like, yeah, this is not for me anymore. My daughter's about to be 1 and I have nothing to show for. I mean, I have a great career, but I want to leave her something. I want to leave her, inspiration, even if it's at the minimal level. And I want to teach her that you could literally do whatever you want to do. You don't have to be stuck in a 9 to 5 job and or somewhere you don't want to be. It doesn't matter if it's 9 to 5, because if you love it, you love it. It doesn't matter what format it is in. And so I said, I'm going to start creating my own path and build my own path. So when I first started 8 years ago, I can't believe it. I said that out loud, but 8 years ago, I first started. I didn't really know the impact, and I'm sure, like what you were saying with the awards and everything, I haven't gotten there yet. Maybe one day I'll get one of those calls,
You're right. It's
but
just around the corner. Just around the corner. Believe me, trust me on this one.
and so, once I saw that, I also I started getting what we call the fan mail, because that's what it's called in throughout the podcast. And I started getting messages on LinkedIn, and I started seeing the what I would call the quiet impact, right? Because it's not like the TikTok sensation or a viral video that, you hit 1 million views or whatever. It's more of the trickling effect when you're at your most vulnerable state, you're about to quit, you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too much work. I'm not seeing, the light at the end of the tunnel. And then you get that. You get that, oh my God, you inspired me. Your course was amazing. Your book was great. This and that, whatever it was. And, I saw you speaking here, or I hear your podcast every day or every week. And it's like, it's just those little moments. I don't think a lot of people realize that it comes a long way. It goes a long way, because for us, we pour our heart into everything that we do, and we do it because we love it, not because we have to, not because we're forced to. Kind of like what you were saying and were explaining it. It's something that we chose to do, that we chose it, even though
It's
you
a
found your
choice.
you found
It's
it,
a
you
choice.
found the entrance, in a newspaper, and I found mine online. So it is what it is at this point.
Well,
And
my philosophy has always been you got to get up in the morning and love it, or don't do it.
yeah.
Don't do it. It's that simple. There's so many choices in life. So many, many choices in life. Don't like it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Nobody is bound. You're not, and the problem, if there's a problem with paralegals, is that they're too loyal, and that they
Mm.
they they feel that oh, if I leave this job, the firm will never get along without me. Well, I got news for you. I hate to be the messenger, but I've got news for you. And so you always have to look out for yourself. It's sort of like when you're in the plane and the flight attendant says, "Put your mask on first." You can't save
Mm.
anybody else unless you put your mask on first. And in terms of you were saying give up, I've never given up. Never. Have I changed the course or the direction that I'm going? Yes, of course. Of course. But give up? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I see a lot of people who are happy in their career, but people don't come to a staffing agency mostly because they're happy. They usually come because there's something real wrong going on here. And
Yes.
even if it's they just want more money, well, that's something that's going, why isn't the firm giving you more money, right? I talk to a lot of people. It's not that they're so unhappy. It's just that things could be just a little bit better. And if I can help them in that endeavor, that makes me feel good. It really does. It really makes me feel good. So I listen a lot to when people say, I want job satisfaction. What
Mm.
does that mean? What does
Yeah.
that mean? You know? So I go back to you got to get up in the morning and love it. Don't do it. It's that simple.
Hey legal pros, are you ready to stop playing small? The Limitless Paralegal Academy is officially open, offering powerhouse courses, real-world tools, and expert-led training to help you build the career and life you actually want. We're not stopping there. The Limitless Paralegal Tour is hitting the road. We're bringing the mindset shifts, career strategies, and community straight to your city with epic speakers, actionable sessions, and zero boring PowerPoints. This isn't your average CLE. This is your legal career reimagined. Join the Academy, meet us on tour, become the legal pro everyone remembers. Visit limitlessparalegals.academy.com to enroll and grab your ticket now. Be bold, be brilliant, but most importantly, be limitless. And honestly, I don't know if you have realized this, but a lot of people don't know what they want. Like once you
No.
ask them that, because I was doing, we do a lot of team building and we do a lot of group sessions. And one of our, I guess, most successful like team building exercises that we do is where we put people that normally wouldn't be in the same room together or have conversations together. And by that I mean it could be anything. It could be a language, it could be a family unit, a single mom with a recently graduated, 21-year-old from college that has no kids, had never been married. And so we put these what we would call polar opposites, which they're really not, because ultimately
Mhm.
you're going to find out that there's a lot of synergy and a lot of
Right.
similarities, right? And so that's the whole point of the exercise is to put these two people that would normally not be sitting in the same room or have conversations, maybe the C-suite with the receptionist, people that just don't, normally would interact, especially the bigger the firm, the bigger the problems. And so, or bottlenecks. And when after that, and I don't do any guided questions. I do have cards and stuff. That's a whole different exercise. But for this one, I kind of let it flow. I kind of say just go back to the basics. What's your name? Where you're from? What do you love about the firm? What you don't love about the firm? Like whatever they feel comfortable in sharing, right? Because not
Mhm.
everybody's going to open up and share their whole life story to a complete stranger, right? And so I found that organically, people just kind of find their differences, but find their similarities within their differences. And that was a gift that I got a long time ago, growing up in a metropolitan area of Miami, where there's like billions of cultures, and walking through the streets, you hear all these different languages and see the culture and smell the spices of every country there is on the globe. And for me, it was normal. But when I went and I moved, and I moved and I went into like adulthood, I realized that it's not normal for everybody. This is not how people normally grow up or are raised, or realize that there's other things out there. There's other people out there. And when I started doing these exercises and asking the hard questions is, what do you really want out of your career when we do paralegal coaching or when we're doing sessions or something like that? It's like, what do you want out of your career? What is the imprint, if at all, you want to leave, or do you just want to collect a paycheck,
Well,
right? Because there's a difference.
here's the deal about that. I will ask somebody, what do you want to do? Right. And like I said earlier, most of the time they'll tell me what they don't want. But when they do tell me, okay, because that's what they've experienced. That's your experience. Your experience is what you don't want. Okay. So you know what you don't want, but you haven't tasted yet what you do want. Okay. So you
Mm.
don't have that experience. So they'll say something to me like, well, I want to go into HR, or I want to be an HR manager. I want to do this. That's what I want. And what is your 5-year plan? Well, my 5-year plan is I'm just making this up, right? So, and
Mhm.
my 5-year plan, I want to be a director of administration. That's what I want. And then I ask, how are you going to get there? How are you going to get there? They don't know. They don't know. So in my book, my first book that's coming out, and it's called Power Plays for Legal Professionals, Strategies to Move Your Career Forward. And I talk about how to get there. How are you going to get there? How are you going to map this out? What are you going to do in the first year? What are you going to do in the first quarter? What plan do you have? What's your plan B if it doesn't work out? Okay, because chances are it just might not work out, right? And that's a hard pill to swallow. And then a lot of people
It
give
sure
up. Why
is.
give up? Change your direction. That's all. Change your direction. So I talk about that, how to get there, what to do, how to move up an invisible ladder in your firm. Because I hate to break it to some of your readers, but you're not going to make partner. Okay, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen, not in my lifetime anyway. So, how are you going to get to where you want to go? And most people don't have a clue. So, in my book, I talk about all kinds of strategies and I give you examples of people who have really made it. People who are making, if money is the object, making $270,000 a year as a paralegal, as a paralegal administrator, as a paralegal manager. It's out there.
Mm.
Okay. It is out there. I've placed them in those positions, so I know they're out there. I've negotiated those kinds of salaries for people. And again, it's not always the money. You know, some people want to go into nonprofits. Some people want to do legal aid. It all depends on where you get your satisfaction. But the biggest question is, do you have a plan? And what does that look like? So I
Mm-hmm.
talk about that and I talk about how to move up this really invisible ladder for paralegals, and how to keep moving up in a field that is not structured. We don't have a structure. And one of the things that I'm hot on now is, and this is a Sherry Bunny Estrinism, right? But what I would like to see is the paralegal field to get a structure the same way the nursing field got a structure.
Mm.
And so there are definitions, there are goals, there are positions that you can reach for, and the acknowledgement and the money behind it. Okay. So at the conference, the IPMA, International Practice Management Association conference is coming up. We're going to have a panel that talks about a program to give paralegals these kinds of certifications, not certified, okay, but certifications, right? And moving up and give the field a structure so that there are goals and there are achievements and you're recognized and acknowledged for what it is that you do. So all of that is in my book, you know.
I love it.
Yeah,
Yay. We'll
all
have
in
the
my book.
link. Don't worry. We'll have the
Yeah,
link, guys. You
we'll
don't have
have
to
it.
go
Well,
searching
actually,
for
right
it.
now it's not coming out until next week on Amazon. And then my other book that's coming out is the Paralegal Job Search Handbook, a guide for your first paralegal job. And it talks
Mm.
about everything you need to know, not only how to write the resume. You can read that anywhere, right? Uh, come on, but it talks about a glossary for what the terms you need to know when you first walk in. It talks about not only the cover letter, but what makes you different out of that. It talks about, oh, we all talk about the transferable skills. Well, what the heck are
What
transferable
are they?
skills, right? And we say, oh, I'm detail oriented. Well, yeah, you don't say, yeah, I'm a little weak on that site checking. Every time I site check, I screw up. I mean, we're not going to say that, right? And it has all about how to ask the what proper, not the same old questions. What's a day like in the paralegal world in this firm and all that kind of stuff. But we give all kinds of new ways of approaching the job search. So I'm very, very excited about that book.
It's very
And
needed, especially
it's
now with the technology and the way we
yes,
do interviews. A lot of us were the traditional paralegals that would work in the office, 24/7, and our interviews were in the office. And I remember the days when you actually interviewed with the manager that was going to manage you. Like,
right,
where did
right,
where did that, become a
gone,
disconnect,
right, yeah,
So,
gone,
things like that where it's a whole different world, it's a whole different
very different.
element. And now with Zoom, what's Zoom etiquette? Like, there's so many new resources out there. So it's
It's a
intense.
different
It
way
can
of
get
doing things.
overwhelming.
Yeah, a different way of doing things. And that leads me to men and women of a certain age. Okay, now the
Mm,
average age of paralegal student is 36 to 38. It's not a career that most kids right out of college go into. It is not.
mm,
It's a second or third career. So a lot of the people entering the field and even people that have been there for a while are worried about age discrimination. And
mm.
does it exist in the legal field? Oh, yeah. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
for sure.
It,
Hmm.
it, it exists.
There's no
So
secret out there, guys.
yeah. Well, then I have an ebook that you can get now on Amazon, and it's called Hot Flashes, Cool Resume, Still Billable,
Ooh,
Still Brilliant, Resumes for Legal Professional Women Who Aren't Done Yet.
I
And
love
it
that.
talks about, well, I wrote it because somebody I hadn't talked to in a long time sends me an email and says, "Oh, Chere Estrin, you're still around." And I thought,
What does that mean?
you're still around. Do I get a plaque for that? I mean, what?
I'm gonna
I
give
mean,
you an award now.
give me another award. I'm still around. So I felt compelled to write that ebook. And in that book, it talks about how you bring on age discrimination yourself. It's not
Mm,
just taking notes and saying, oh, this person said that about me, and I'm going to get them, right? Or I'm going to walk down to HR and report them.
right.
No, it's how to avoid bringing it on yourself. And so we talk about what you should do in the resume, what you should do in the interview, how you should look, how you should dress. There's a whole list of words and phrases you better not be saying anymore. Okay?
I
It
like that.
dates you immediately. It dates you. And is that fair? No, it's not fair. Can you change the world? Well, little by little, little by little. Are you going to do it by the time you need a new job? Probably not. Okay. So what I say is let's ride the horse in the direction it's going, right? Let's ride
Yeah.
that horse in the direction it's going. So that ebook is kind of popular right now. I didn't know how many people out there were getting emails like me. Oh, Sherry, you're still around, right?
I can't believe they said that. How
Oh,
rude.
yeah. Oh, yeah, you're still around. Okay. I'll tell you though that being a woman of a certain age, it's an old adage, but I've seen that movie. I know how it comes out. So
Mm,
very little bothers me. I mean, yes, of course, some things bother me. Don't get me wrong, but very little bothers me because I know how it comes out, and we'll be
mm.
okay. We'll
I
all be
love that.
okay. Yeah, we're okay.
Yay.
Yeah, we're okay.
That's a perfect way to end this episode. We're all going to be okay, guys.
We're all okay. We're all okay.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, Sherry, it's always a pleasure speaking with you and being in your presence. You are just a wealth of wisdom, and it has nothing to do with your age. It just has to do with your experience. And I always say
thank
that
you.
there is a difference because you can have years in this industry and still not accumulate as half of what you know. So it doesn't really matter how long you've been in the industry, where you've been exposed to. But I always say, as a valid reader, I read since I could. That's probably the best way you can continue to learn because you learn from others. That's the
That's
difference
right.
between reading something and listening or watching media or whatever it is. These are just opinions and facts from other people. The book
Mhm.
is directly from the source, obviously within context, right? There are other books out there. But when we're talking about books that we learn from, and that is one thing that I actually learned recently when I was doing my master's degree last year. I learned that. I learned that the books, that's why some textbooks are required, some of them are not. And you see all these things, and everybody has, they huss and fuss about it. But at the end of the day, it's straight from the source. You're
Right.
learning straight from there. There's no red tape. And I think that's the best way to learn. The best way to learn is straight from the source. So that's something we need to go back to. There are some traditions that I feel should not have been removed. We
There are
should keep some of them.
a lot of things that still work. Believe me, they
Yeah,
still work.
exactly. Exactly. But thank you so much for taking the
Thank you.
time out of your busy schedule. I know it's very, very, very valuable, and I appreciate you for taking the time and being on here with us and sharing your wisdom just a little bit. We only got a little bite size, guys. She has 12 books, and like maybe by the next time she's on the podcast, she'll probably have 20 at this point.
Could be, could be,
The way
could
she's
be.
going, the way she's going at it. But thank you so much. I do appreciate you and your time and being here and sharing everything that you've actually experienced and what you're going to do, right? Because I'm always interested in what's next. I don't know, that's my personality.
Well, if anybody listening to this would like some direction, a little guidance, maybe the resume reviewed, just send it to me, Sherry at estrinlegalstaffing.com. I'm sure you'll have something out there
Oh,
that
yes.
will say that. Happy to take a look at it. Happy to take some time to chat with you. Email is the best way to reach me because I'm always, always, always on Zoom or on the phone. But I do get right back to you, and I do care. I really do.
Yes. She does, guys. She
I
really
do.
does.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys. Until
Thank
justice is
you.
served. Until next time. Bye.